Let's be honest for a second. How many times have you started over? How many times have you stood in front of the mirror on a Monday morning, a fire blazing in your chest, and told yourself, this time will be different. This time, the diet will stick. This time, the business will launch. This time, the workout routine will become who you are. You feel a surge of energy, a near blinding clarity. It's a fantastic feeling. The feeling of a fresh start. You buy the new planner. You download the habit tracking apps. You tell a few friends about your big plan. For a week, maybe 2, you're a machine. You do all the right things. You feel unstoppable. And then, it happens. Not with a bang, but a quiet fade. One morning, the alarm goes off, and instead of fire, you just feel a tired, empty space. The first thought isn't, let's go, but, just for today. One day off won't hurt. I've worked hard. I deserve it. That voice. That rational, seductive voice. It whispers to you that your exhaustion is a signal to stop, not to push through. And you listen. That, just one time, turns into 2. Then 3. Soon, the planner is gathering dust. The app goes unopened. And when someone asks about your big plan, you deflect, feeling a familiar pang of shame. The loop begins again. The fresh start has become another old ending. Why does this keep happening? Why do our best intentions crumble to dust? The answer lies in a lie we've all been taught to believe. A lie sold to us in movies, in commercials, in highlight reels of success stories. That lie is, to change, you need motivation. Motivation. That fiery feeling. We crave it. We hunt for it in inspirational videos, powerful speeches, and epic soundtracks. We believe that if we just had enough of it, we could conquer anything. But that is the trap. Motivation, by its very nature, is a flake. It's an emotion, and like all emotions, it comes and goes. It depends on whether you slept well, if work is going smoothly, if life is treating you gently. It's a fair weather friend. But when the storm hits, when work pressure mounts, when your family needs you, when real life throws you a curveball, motivation is the first thing to run for the hills, leaving you alone to face the resistance. And this is where we need to talk about the science. This isn't a character flaw. You are not weak. You are just using the wrong strategy. In the 90s, a social psychologist named Roy Baumeister conducted a series of studies that changed how we understand self-control. He introduced a concept called ego depletion. The theory is simple but profound. Willpower is not an unlimited personality trait. It acts like a muscle. Imagine you wake up with a full bar of willpower energy. Every decision you make throughout the day drains a piece of that energy bar. Resisting the donut your coworker brought in. You just used a little willpower. Staying patient when your kid spills milk on the floor. A little more is gone. Politely writing that difficult email to your boss instead of being harsh. You've spent another bit. Throughout the day, you make hundreds of tiny decisions, resist temptations, and regulate your emotions. You don't realize it, but your willpower muscle is getting more and more fatigued. So, at the end of the day, when it's time to follow through on that big promise to yourself, the workout, the hour of writing, the online course, you look at the task and feel a complete and utter exhaustion. The voice in your head isn't lying when it says, I can't. Your willpower muscle is genuinely depleted. You have nothing left to give. This is why the cycle repeats. You set your biggest goals for the times when your mental resources have already been exhausted by the demands of daily life. You're asking a tired muscle to lift the heaviest weight. Failure isn't just possible, it's inevitable. So if motivation is a mirage and willpower is a finite resource, what are we left with? How do the people who actually build extraordinary things, the athletes, the artists, the leaders, do it? They don't rely on a feeling. They rely on a system. They don't wait for inspiration. They build an architecture. They don't follow motivation. They follow a single word, a word that isn't glamorous, isn't sexy, but is the bedrock of all meaningful achievement. Discipline. Discipline isn't about trying harder. It's about deciding ahead of time. It's about taking the decision out of the equation. It's about building a system where the right action becomes the path of least resistance, not the one that requires the most effort. It doesn't ask how you feel. It just does what needs to be done. The journey we are about to embark on is not about finding a new fire that will burn out. It's about learning how to build a furnace inside you, one that burns low and steady, regardless of the weather outside. This is not a temporary change. This is a reconstruction from the foundation up. Section 1, the first brick, your one non-negotiable. If relying on willpower is a failing strategy, what's the solution? The answer isn't in trying harder, but in starting smarter. Much, much smarter. The biggest mistake most of us make when trying to change our lives is that we try to change everything at once. We write out a long list, exercise every day, meditate, journal, read, learn a new skill, eat healthy, wake up early. We look at that list and feel overwhelmed by the vision of a perfect new self. But we're doing what a wise general would never do. We are spreading our forces too thin across too many fronts. The result is that no front is ever truly captured. For a few days, you might do it all. But when ego depletion hits, when real life happens, the first front collapses, then the second. Soon, your entire plan is in ruins, and you're back at square one, feeling even worse than before, because now you have more evidence for that toxic belief that, I can't do it. We need to abandon that strategy. Completely. Instead, we will do the opposite. We will not spread out. We will concentrate. We will take all our energy, our focus, and our commitment, and we will channel it into a single point. A point so small it's almost absurd. This is the first brick. You must choose one action, and only one, to make your non-negotiable. I want you to really hear this. Not 2. Not 3. 1. This action doesn't have to be monumental. In fact, the smaller, the better. It's not, run 5 miles every day. It might be, put on my running shoes and step out the door. It's not, write a chapter of my book. It might be, write 100 words. It's not, meditate for 30 minutes. It might be, sit in silence for 60 seconds. The action must be so small that the voice in your head cannot find a rational reason to refuse it. Am I too tired to sit still for 1 minute? Absurd. Do I not have time to write 100 words? That's ridiculous. Why do we do this? Because the goal here is not the immediate result. The goal is not to get in shape or write a book in the first week. The goal is much deeper. The goal is to win. You need a win. A small, undeniable win, every single day. You need to start rebuilding something that has been eroded by countless abandoned attempts, your self-belief. Every time you perform this tiny, non-negotiable act, you are sending a message to your subconscious. You are saying, when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. You are laying a brick in the foundation of a new identity. And this is where neuroscience steps in and shows us the real magic that's happening. When you repeat the same action, in the same context, over and over, you're doing more than just building a habit. You are rewiring your brain. There's a concept called automaticity. Think about the first time you learned to drive. You had to focus on everything. Hands on the wheel, feet on the pedals, eyes checking the mirrors, ears listening to the engine. Your prefrontal cortex, the executive center of your brain, was working overtime. It was exhausting. But now, you can drive home from work and not even remember the trip. You can listen to a podcast, talk on the phone, hands-free, hopefully, or think about dinner. Why? Because the act of driving has been transferred from the energy-intensive prefrontal cortex to a much more primitive and efficient part of the brain, the basal ganglia. The basal ganglia is your habit factory. It doesn't think. It doesn't judge. It just executes pre-programmed scripts. It operates on a simple loop: cue-routine-reward. Once the act of driving became automatic, it costs you almost zero willpower energy. Now, apply this to your first brick. When you choose that small action, writing 100 words each morning, you are deliberately creating a new loop. Cue, morning cup of coffee. Routine, open the laptop and write 100 words. Reward, the feeling of accomplishment. A small win. The first time, you'll need willpower. The second time, too. But by day 20, day 30, day 50, something changes. You'll find yourself sitting down to write without having to make a decision. It just happens. The action has begun its migration to the basal ganglia. It's becoming automatic. This is why choosing one habit is so crucial. You are focusing all your neural resources on building a single superhighway in your brain, instead of trying to build 10 little dirt roads at once. You want this road paved in marble. You want it to become the default path. Once that action becomes automatic, it no longer drains energy from your willpower muscle. It has become part of who you are. And magically, you now have all that willpower energy to dedicate to the next brick. This is how you build a fortress. Not by trying to erect all the walls at once, but by laying one brick perfectly. Each perfectly laid brick makes the next one easier to place. The confidence you gain from keeping your word to yourself in one area will bleed over into others. It becomes a positive domino effect. You aren't just learning to write every day. You are learning to be someone who keeps their promises. You aren't just learning to exercise. You are learning to be someone who moves through resistance. You are changing your identity at a cellular level. So, for now, stop dreaming about the perfect future you. Face the reality of the present you. Pick one thing. One single thing. Make it ridiculously small. And make it sacred. It is non-negotiable. Whether you're tired, whether you're busy, whether you're not in the mood. You do it. Because it's not about the action. It's about becoming the person who takes it. It's the first brick. And it is everything. Section 2, The Inner Shield, Forging Resilience to Criticism. Once you've laid that first brick, once you've started keeping that small promise to yourself every day, something interesting happens. You begin to feel a small shift in your posture, a new sense of solidity. But as soon as you start to stand a little taller, you will also notice an unavoidable truth of life: the world will always try to push you down. The battle to become better isn't just fought inside your own mind. It's also fought externally. It's fought in the casual remark from a coworker, in the raised eyebrow from a friend, or even in the judgmental silence from loved ones who don't understand why you're changing. A viewer left a profound comment, one that gets to the heart of this issue. He said, "I've spent years letting criticism and doubt derail me." That sentence. It holds a world of pain, doesn't it? The pain of having a vision for yourself, starting down the path, and then being thrown back into the mud by a word, a look, a flicker of doubt. You're trying to eat healthier, and someone says, "Oh, on another diet, huh? Let's see how long this one lasts." You're trying to wake up early to work on your project, and a loved one says, "You look so tired. Maybe you should just sleep in." Those words, whether well-intentioned or not, are like little arrows. Individually, they seem harmless. But when they come consistently, they start to pierce your resolve. They plant seeds of doubt in your mind. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am kidding myself. Maybe I really can't do this. And this is where we discover a deeper, unexpected purpose of discipline. Discipline is not just a tool for building. It's also a tool for defense. Your daily consistency, the brick you lay down every single morning, isn't just building a tower. It's forging a suit of armor. Every time you perform your non-negotiable act, regardless of how you feel or what others might think, you're not just reinforcing a habit. You are reinforcing yourself. You are teaching your nervous system a fundamental lesson: my worth and my path are not dependent on external approval. This action, repeated, becomes an assertion of personal sovereignty. It creates an internal center of gravity, something solid and immovable. When you have that core, the winds of outside opinion can blow, but they no longer have the power to uproot you. Psychology has a fantastic term for the mechanism behind this shield: cognitive reappraisal. It sounds complex, but the core idea is powerful. Cognitive reappraisal is the ability to change your interpretation of a situation to change your emotional response to it. It's not about denying or suppressing emotion. It's about consciously choosing the lens through which you view reality. Imagine a criticism is like raw data entered into your computer. The computer can run two different programs. The default program, the one most of us run unconsciously, is called the personal courtroom. When the data, "you look tired," is entered, this program immediately puts you on the defendant's stand. It starts an internal trial. They think I'm failing. They're attacking me. They don't believe in me. The result is that you feel hurt, angry, defensive, and your willpower is eroded. But there's another program. One you can intentionally install through the practice of discipline. That program is called the scientist's lab. When the same data, "you look tired," is entered, this program doesn't pass judgment. It just observes. It asks different questions. Is this data accurate? Perhaps I do need a bit more sleep. What can I adjust in my plan to optimize my energy? Or, this data is coming from a biased source. Perhaps it reflects their insecurity more than my reality. Acknowledge, and discard. See the difference? In the courtroom, you are a victim. In the lab, you are in control. So how does daily discipline help us install and run the lab program? Because consistency creates emotional detachment. When you have a process, a system you trust, you no longer identify yourself with the outcome of a single day or the opinion of a single person. Your true self is defined by the process, not the commentary. When you have written 100 words every day for 60 days straight, and someone says your idea will never work, you no longer hear it as a death sentence for your identity. Instead, you hear it as a data point. You can analyze it objectively. You have proof, 6,000 words of proof, that you are a writer. Their opinion cannot erase your actions. Your armor is forged in the furnace of repeated action. Your shield is polished by the boredom of sticking to the process. Your strength comes not from never being attacked. It comes from knowing that the arrows cannot pierce the metal you have forged yourself, day after day. This frees you from one of the greatest human prisons, the need to be understood and approved of. You realize you can pursue your goals even if no one is clapping. You can build your life even if those around you are shaking their heads. Your validation comes from the action, not the applause. When you reach that point, you experience a profound kind of freedom. The noise of the world is still there, but it's no longer deafening. It's just background sound. Like the sound of rain on the roof of a solid house. You can hear it, you can acknowledge it, but inside, you remain dry, warm, and safe. That inner shield isn't given. It's earned. It's earned with the sweat of consistency, in the quiet of the early morning, in the moments you choose to do what you promised instead of what is easy. Keep laying those bricks. With every one, you're not just building higher. You're building thicker. You're building a fortress. And inside those walls, you will find the peace to do the real work of your life. Section 3, the sacred boredom, where the real work is done. You have your non-negotiable action. You've begun to forge your inner shield. You're feeling a new confidence, a solidity you haven't felt before. You're ready to face any challenge life throws at you. But the next enemy doesn't arrive with a roar. It doesn't attack you with criticism or temptation. It arrives in silence. It arrives in repetition. It arrives as a flat, empty feeling. It is boredom. And it is where most great journeys die. Not because it gets too hard, but because it stops being exciting. We live in a world engineered to fight boredom. Our phone is an endless novelty machine. Every swipe is a new image, a new video, a new piece of information. We are trained to crave the new, the fast, the stimulating. Our brains are addicted to constant dopamine hits. So when we step onto the path of discipline, it has its own initial appeal. Learning something new, seeing the first signs of progress, it's all exciting. But that novelty, just like motivation, eventually fades. There will come a day when you wake up and performing your non-negotiable action no longer feels like an adventure. It's just a thing you do. Writing 100 words is no longer a discovery, it's just typing. The workout is no longer a challenge, it's just moving your body. This is the moment of danger. The voice in your head will return, but this time it doesn't say you're weak. It says something far more subtle. It says, this isn't working anymore. I'm not feeling anything. Maybe I should try something new, a different method that's more effective. We mistake a lack of stimulation for a lack of progress. One viewer used the perfect phrase to describe this: the boring reps. That's exactly it. The repetitions you perform not with enthusiasm, but with simple compliance. It is those reps that are the true test of your commitment. Why? Because this is where the physical, cellular level construction is actually taking place. Let's go back to neuroscience. Your brain has a miraculous ability called neuroplasticity. It means your brain isn't a static block of stone. It's a living forest, constantly changing, where new paths can be created and old ones can become overgrown. Every time you perform a new action, you are like a pioneer hacking through the wilderness to create a new trail. At first, it's hard. You're using a machete, you're putting in a ton of effort for every step. This is the exciting phase, when things are new and challenging. But as you walk that path every single day, what happens? The trail becomes clearer. The weeds don't have time to grow back. The ground becomes firm. Eventually, it becomes a well-worn path. Walking it no longer requires intense focus. It becomes boring. Boredom is not a signal that you should find a new forest. Boredom is the evidence that your pathway is being solidified. It's the biological signal that the neural connection for that habit is getting stronger, more efficient, and more automatic. When you feel bored, it's your brain's way of saying, I've got this. This is no longer a threat or a novelty. It's becoming part of me. To run from boredom at this moment is like a farmer who plants a seed and then walks away just before the crop is about to sprout because he got tired of looking at a field of dirt. Professionals in every field understand this on a profound level. A master pianist doesn't play new concertos every day. He spends hours on scales and finger exercises, incredibly boring stuff. An elite athlete doesn't invent new workouts every week. He performs the same fundamental movements, thousands upon thousands of times, refining every tiny detail. They have learned to turn boredom into a sacred space. It is no longer boredom. It is refinement. It is presence. It is where they shed the ego that demands entertainment and connect with the essence of the work. So how do you, in a world that is screaming for your attention, learn to embrace and even celebrate this boredom? You start by changing your interpretation of it. The next time you are performing your action and you feel that pull to grab your phone, to do something else, just pause for a second. Acknowledge the feeling. And instead of fighting it, tell yourself, here it is. This is it. This is the gateway. This is where most people turn back. This is where the real work begins. Turn the feeling of boredom into a cue, a reminder that you are on the right path. It's not a wall, it's a mile marker. It's the sign that you have passed the honeymoon phase and are entering the long-term, committed relationship with your goal. Find the beauty in the repetition. Pay attention to the small details you missed before. Instead of just getting it done, ask, how can I do this 1% better than yesterday? This micro-focus on refinement transforms monotony into a practice of mindfulness. The ability to tolerate boredom is a superpower in the 21st century. The person who can sit still and focus on a single task, even when it's no longer exciting, is the one who will produce work of depth. The person who can keep showing up, even when there's no applause, is the one who will build a sustainable career. The person who can find peace in the repetition is the one who will find freedom from the addiction to external stimulus. Do not fear the quiet. Do not fear the monotony. Step into it. Let it sharpen you. Because in that forge of boredom, it's not just skill that is created. It is character. A character that is steady, patient, and quietly powerful. The rebirth, you are what you repeatedly do. We've covered a lot of ground together in the last few minutes. We've exposed the lie of motivation. We've learned how to lay the first brick intelligently, how to forge an inner shield against criticism, and how to walk through the sacred space of boredom where most people turn back. So, in the end, what is all this for? All this effort, these quiet actions, these internal battles. Is it just to check boxes on a habit list? To get a better body, a bigger bank account, a more successful career? Those may be the byproducts. But they are not the point. The true purpose of this journey is much deeper. It's not about what you do. It's about who you become. There's an ancient saying, often attributed to Aristotle, that has echoed through the centuries: we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Read that again. Excellence is not an act. It is a habit. Who you are is not defined by your rare moments of peak performance, but by your ordinary, repeated, daily choices. The people who comment on this content understand that. One person used the phrase, rebuild yourself from the ground up. That is exactly what you are doing. Picture this: for years, maybe you've been living in an old house. Its foundation was built on bad habits, excuses, and a lack of self-belief. You've spent a lot of time and energy trying to fix it. You'd repaint a wall here, nail down a loose board there. You tried to make it look better from the outside. But every time a storm came, the house would shake. The roof would leak. The wind would whistle through the cracks. This journey of discipline is not about fixing that old house. It's about leveling it to the ground. Completely. And starting to build something entirely new. A fortress. The first brick you lay isn't a repair. It's the cornerstone of a new structure. The shield you forge isn't a patch. It's the outer wall. The patience you learn in boredom isn't a new coat of paint. It is the solid mortar that holds everything together. You are not fixing the person you were. You are building the person you were meant to be. And here's the most liberating truth: you don't have to wait until the fortress is complete to feel safe. The power is not in the destination. The power is in the act of building. Every day you choose to show up, every day you keep your promise to yourself, you are getting stronger. There will come a day when you'll look back. You won't remember every single workout, every single page you read. But you will feel the person you have become because of them. You will feel an internal integrity, an unshakable calm. You will realize that you no longer hope you'll make the right choice, you know you will, because that's who you are now. You will no longer need to explain your philosophy to anyone, because you will be living it. Your actions will speak louder than any words ever could. And that is the rebirth. It's not a blinding flash of light, but a slow dawn. A quiet realization that the person looking back at you in the mirror is no longer a stranger tossed about by emotions and circumstances. That is an architect. The commander. The master of their own life. This process is not about being perfect. You will stumble. There will be bad days. But the difference is that now you know how to get back up. A fall is no longer the end, it's just part of the process. So, keep going. Keep laying those bricks in the silence. Keep polishing your shield when no one is watching. Keep walking the boring path that leads to greatness. Because one day, you will no longer have to force it. You will simply be it. If this conversation resonated with you, if it stirred something inside you, help spread this message by liking the video and sharing it with someone who might need to hear these words. And subscribe to the channel to keep being part of this space where we get stronger and think more clearly together. But today, I want to ask you for something even more important. This video isn't just for listening. It's for acting. Theory is meaningless without practice. And your journey doesn't start tomorrow. It starts right now, in this moment of decision. So here is my question, my challenge to you. What is your first brick? I want you to go down to the comments section and write out the one, non-negotiable action you will commit to starting today. Not a list. Just one. Make it small. Make it clear. Write it down not for me, but for yourself. It is a contract. A declaration. A line in the sand that separates the old you from the one you are building. Join the hundreds of others in this community who are laying down their first brick. There is no judgment here, only respect for the act. Until next time, stay strong, stay disciplined, and never stop showing up.